guys, and welcome back to Rachel's Enchanting Cakes. Now remember, if you like what you see, please do share the videos, like the videos, and most importantly subscribe to the channel for more upcoming free tutorials. Today, this is fantastic for beginner bakers, by the way. I'm going to be doing the very popular drip cake. No fondant on the actual cake whatsoever, unless you choose to add the roses like I have here. 300 grams of melted chocolate is dripped down those sides of the cake, covered in buttercream. Absolutely delicious, stunning, but most importantly, it's quite simple. If I just lift this up to the camera so you can see what we're going to be making today. It will make a fantastic birthday cake for anybody. So give it a try, guys, and let's get baking. First step to making this very stunning but simple drip cake is to first of all bake 2 cakes of your choice. I again have chosen the classic Victoria's sponge cake. You can find a link to this recipe and full method, which will make exactly 2 beautiful 8-inch cakes, in the description on this video. You're going to need some buttercream. I've chosen vanilla buttercream. Again, I have another recipe, full YouTube video, that will also be in the description. In the UK, we fill our Victoria's sponge cakes with jam. Remember, you can also do this in chocolate cake. I have a lovely Belgian chocolate cake recipe, which most of you may prefer to do, as we are going to be covering this cake with melted chocolate and then more chocolates, just to get that beautiful drip effect. But chocolate and vanilla, the flavours do complement each other extremely well. I've got my turntable, but this on here I have got a 12-inch round cake board just covered with baking parchment because I need everything to set really well in the fridge, and a couple of knives. So I'm just going to place this one to one side. I just wanted to show you for the purpose of this tutorial because we're not going to be using that just yet. And this cake I have already uncovered, as you can see. I'm going to place that on my surface using a leveller, which is exactly 4.5 centimetres. That's where I have set it at. I'm just going to cut the dough, even though it's not much, off the top of this cake. Just like so, okay? And then place that straight. It's lovely and moist, this cake. A little tip for you: if you wrap once you've baked the cake and you've taken it out of the oven, whilst it's still warm, if you then wrap it in cling film, it helps keep the cake beautiful and moist because all that steam just goes straight back into the cake. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pinch a little bit of this buttercream out the top of my piping bag and just place it over here, just to stop all the jam from going into the base of this lovely cake, to help seal it slightly. Using your piping bag, I'm going to make a dam for all of my jam. This dam needs to be stronger than usual, just because we're not going to be sealing this cake with any fondant. So if you just go around the cake, I like to use a full jar of jam. I'm really generous with my fillings. That's a full jar of jam gone. But it'll be one very tasty cake. And now I'm going to fill these remaining areas using my piping bag with the rest of my buttercream. And then just go around the sides just to neaten them up slightly, because what we're going to do is place this in the fridge until all of this buttercream is set lovely and hard. And once that's happened, we will then place the next part on the top and cover all of the sides and the top before it goes back in the fridge again. This has been left in the fridge now for a good hour, if not longer, just because I want this really hard with the amount of filling that I have added. I have levelled off my second cake. I'm simply going to place that on top. And this is where you need to make sure it's central. The next job is crumb coating. So I'm getting my buttercream that's left over from this cake. Again, the buttercream is in the recipe, is in the description below. 2 knives, a palette knife and just a normal bread knife. And you simply just cover the whole cake with buttercream. But it needs to be really neat because we are not going to be covering this cake with fondant. So you get the main idea now. You'll notice that I've been extremely generous with the amount of buttercream that I have used. This is for 2 reasons. I'm going to be placing this in the fridge for a good 2 to 3 hours before I apply the chocolate drip, because I want this cake to be at least 5 degrees centigrade. I want all that buttercream to have set so that when the chocolate goes on there, we don't end up in a sticky mess. Because it's been in the fridge, this buttercream and the amount that I have used is going to protect this cake from the air when it's exposed to it. And I've also done it because of the amount that we've added to the centre. Once everything on this cake has set, it will not be placed in the fridge until 1 hour before the cake is collected. I do this just because it makes the cake safer in transportation, and it will also prevent your cake going dry as long as you don't store it in the fridge constantly. So this will be left on my baking side in its box, and then 1 hour before it's collected, I'm going to place this in the fridge to give all that buttercream the chance to go nice and hard, so that when it is collected, it's less likely to wobble with the amount of filling that I have added in there. All I'm going to do now is clean up my palette knife, and as I have mentioned in previous tutorials, I should be placing this over the gas stove, heating it up and going round the sides of my cake and the top just to neaten up this buttercream just that little bit more. So I'm going to do that, place it in the fridge and then show you how to get that perfect drip cake. For a basic breakdown of what you're going to need for this drip cake, I'm using 300 grams of milk chocolate. You can use any type you want. I'm going to melt this down, place it in my piping bag. You don't need a nozzle in the bag, we're just going to cut off the end to get the drip effect. And then you want a lovely range of chocolates of your choice to place on there. Here I've used a full terrace chocolate orange egg, and this is from a small packet of Cadbury's biscuits, 1 Kinder Bueno and some Galaxy caramel eggs. I have chosen to cover my cake drum, as you can see, and I've left a mark where the cake's going to go. You do not have to cover your drum. Some people just prefer to put it straight on the board. I'm now going to show you how easy it is to actually pick up that set cake that's been covered in plenty of buttercream and place it straight on here. So this is the cake we did yesterday. I've literally just gone straight to the fridge and taken it out. I'm going to slide it off the board and onto my hand first. Peel away the baking parchment, and this will be hard enough for me to use my hands and place directly onto the cake drum. Now, like I said, I've chosen to decorate my cake drum. So I've had an idea on where to place the cake. I think this could do with going a little bit forward, actually looking from the front of the camera. So just pick it up and move it slightly. If you have any marks, just get your palette knife, place it over the gas stove and just give it one more run over before we add all that lovely chocolate drip. As soon as your chocolate is melted, just take away the piping bag. I have to be relatively quick with this, and I am going to find it more difficult just because I'm not looking at the cake directly from the front. Snip off the end of the piping bag. And then take your time with the drip. So if you put some pressure on, the drip will be longer. Move around the edge, some more pressure. Perfect. Now I want to cover the rest of the cake, so all of the top with the remaining chocolate. Now I'm going to get to a different angle because we need to stick on these chocolates before it starts to set. So if I get it there, so I know that's the front of my cake. And I'm going to have a biscuit there to help support that whilst the chocolate sets. That just behind it. We'll have a Kinder Bueno on there. Start adding a few Lush Terrace Chocolate Orange. Keep them all nice and symmetrical. So that is how lovely we are looking so far. Now if you want to, you can leave your drip cake just like that. How fantastic does that look? However, I'm going to add the words, the name, the age and a few sugar roses, I think. So if you want to continue watching this tutorial for that, you can do. I'll just go ahead and make your perfect drip cake. Now I want to show you how simple it is just to turn this absolutely stunning drip cake and just add that personalisation to it, just with a few simple techniques. So what do I have here? Well, as you can see, I've already started with a happy birthday, and this is going to say Miriam. I have some gum paste here to show you what I've done, or also known as modelling paste. I'm just going to place a little bit of icing sugar down. And these, as used in previous tutorials, are by Click Sticks, and they are by far my favourite cutters for letters. So you basically just place it on your modelling paste. I find modelling paste works better. I like to then lift it upside down and just give it a rub with my finger just to make sure it's cut properly, and you just pop it out, and it really is as simple as that. So if I move those out of the way, and we have our other N for this side, which I will stick down with some edible glue. The rose. Now this is an extremely simple start to a completely edible rose. I do have a separate roses tutorial, but that's for wired sugar roses. This is a very simple cake. It's not a wedding cake. We don't need those roses to hold to the sides, so I'm just using them. Just making them with 3 simple cutters, small, medium and slightly large, and in the centre of that I've just rolled a piece of fondant into a cone shape, just to give you an idea. So I've already wrapped the first and the second cutter around that cone, and I'm just going to show you how you do it. So you just place a little bit of edible glue in the centre, place your rose on. So this will be the final part of the rose. Can get a little bit sticky. And there we go. It's a very simple rose, great if you're a beginner. Now I think I'm going to place that, a bit more edible glue, just here on the cake drum. Just get it into position nicely. There we go. So for the 6 and the 0, I have used patchwork cutters, as those are my favourite. I just want to show you what I've just done to the front of the cake whilst the camera was off for a second. We need room for that 6 and 0, so I've just pulled off 2 of those drips. They've come off very easily, so if I want to, I'll always be able to put them back on. So with these, again, I've used modelling paste. These are just going to be directly onto the cake, but even though it's buttercream, that has gone slightly soft, I'm going to use a little bit of edible glue just to help adhere it to the cake to start off with. You can turn something so simple into something just absolutely stunning. So if I do the bottom of that, then I'll notice there's another drip that's in my way, just on this side. So all I'm going to do is what I did with the others, and just gently pull. That's gone, just use my brush because that bit of chocolate's just gone down there. There we go. And now that 6 will partly fit. I'm going to have to take some more off. Just get a knife just so I can pick this piece of chocolate up gently. There we go. So we need a little bit more of this drip off the cake. There we go. And then we put our 6 on there. Let's turn it back this way so I can work with it. It's still quite soft because I haven't let it set. Now what I'm going to do, because I've taken off a few drips, all I'm going to do on that gap is pop one back on. I think that one might be best, because then we've still got our lovely drip effect coming down, but in the process we've been able to fit our number 6 on there. I'm now going to repeat that with the 0. So again, a little bit more edible glue, even though that buttercream's nice and soft. And I think we're going to have to take off some of this drip. See how lovely they come off very, very easily. But do save them so that you can pop them back onto the cake in certain places. Okay. Let's take off my cutter. That's lovely. Now I want to pop back on some of my drips. It's looking lovely, but especially this one, why can't it be dripping over the 0? I think that looks fantastic. And if we can align some of these, so that one came from there, that one can be going over our 0. This one's slightly thinner and I think came from here. And it just looks, I've got a lovely long one here that I'd love to use, but I've got a feeling it might go too far down. Let's give it a try. So I'm going to place the chocolate back on there. It's come off so beautifully because it's a buttercreamed cake. I think if this had been fondant, that would not have worked. Another idea now, thinking about it, would be to add the 6 and the 0 first. But that gives you a rough idea. I still need to glue these guys down on how beautiful and stunning you can turn such a simple cake into. So happy baking, everyone. I'm going to add a few more roses to this, I think, and just give it that extra finishing touch. But give it a try. The chocolate drip cake. Happy baking, guys. I'll be back soon with more tutorials.